So my characters have our dialect and have our, the way they speak. If it's a teacher, she don't have that dialect. She speak as a teacher would. It makes me think of that and how some people didn't agree with how I wanted to do my books, and I'm not budging.
Ooh,
I'm not budging.
I remember that. That was hard.
Yeah, because my people, my characters that I'm creating speak like this.
What's good, y'all? It's the Demouchets React, and we're back with another video. Who we got today, C?
Today we're back with another American reaction.
Yes.
Super excited about this video. If you're new to us
and we're new to you,
make sure you scroll down,
hit that subscribe button,
and turn on the post notification bell
because we're on the road to 200K.
And we cannot get there without you guys, all right? Join the family. Without further ado, let's get into the video.
Let's get it.
Cousin.
What's up?
That's something you might hear if you're around black folks who run into their cousins out in public. And they don't even have to be blood related.
Nope.
It could be the child of my mother's long-term friend, my close friend's cousin, or someone from the same hometown as me. It's just our way of letting the world know that this person is seen, is known, is special, and is one of mine. Do not mess with my cousin.
Yes.
And should they need something in that moment, here I am. On the other hand, if you run into that cousin who brings shame on the family, you might hide behind a clothing rack. I used to think this loudmouth expression was a black Southern thing until I went to Harlem, Detroit, and Oakland and heard it there too, which makes sense. The Great Migration carried millions of black folk from the South to the North and out West, carrying their Southern ways with them. And then I realized that our Southern ways ain't nothing but West African ways, which makes sense given the slave trade. Why then?
I'm you me.
And that is what it is. Nah, real talk though. I feel that.
No amount of years gonna take that from us.
Do we see ourselves as so different from one another? I'll tell you. The insistence that mainstream American culture is the right way or the only way inherently devalues other cultures' rights to not only exist, but thrive. In order to create a society of workers, taxpayers, and landowners here in the U.S. before it was called that, those indigenous to the land had to be civilized. Their way of life didn't align with that of progress, so the goal was to reorganize it to the point that they'd be disgusted with their old ways. After convincing the government that education was cheaper and more effective than war, boarding schools became increasingly popular. The first priority was teaching the students English. The second was renaming them. The third was individualism. See, settlers and colonialists, they measure their worth by how much they accumulate. Indigenous nations, however, measured theirs by how much they shared. And the new way of life being pushed here called for more focused on me than we. And those who would not or could not conform faced dire consequences. At this point, we colonize ourselves. We tell our children they're wrong when they aren't using mainstream American English. We draw red lines to their dialect, which has been passed down from their ancestors. And
we're gonna play that back.
She went there.
She made me think about something now.
What she made you think
that moment, you sent me a video, and this gentleman was expressing how he seen a child playing in front of everybody
at the airport.
And at the airport, the child was playing in front of everybody at the airport, but the child was playing in a way where he or she could have like really hurt themselves pretty bad. But everybody was smiling at this child who was doing something that was deemed kiddie like, exciting. Look at that child play, be playful. But a few black families were sitting there, and the way society has put our image into the light, if our child was doing that, it would have been looked at as misbehaving. And everybody would have been like, you need to control your child. CPS would have been called. you would have been scorned for it. The police would have probably approached you.
Yeah.
Things of that nature would have happened, and it just brought me to realization when she just mentioned. Yeah, that's deep.
It makes
that's
me
deep.
think of my books, and you know how my books are. The settings of my books are in our neighborhoods.
Facts.
So my characters have our dialect and have our, the way they speak. If it's a teacher, she don't have that dialect. She speak as a teacher would. It makes me think of that and how some people didn't agree with how I wanted to do my books, and I'm not budging.
Ooh,
I'm not budging.
I remember that. That was hard.
Yeah, because my people, my characters that I'm creating speak like this.
They wanted your book to sound or cater to a people with the I want to say without saying it.
Target audience.
Yeah, they're not your target audience, but because you're in that atmosphere that was judging you for being so different and for reaching back to the people who can relate to a story, but yet hear the ending where this person came out on top. And they the one that, like, I remember you're supposed to read your book, to not read it to them, but give them like a template of how it was in front of everybody. Put a little bad taste in my mouth with that one.
Let me think of that.
Yeah, bro. Let's hear it one more time. She talking about it.
We tell our children they're wrong when they aren't using mainstream American English. We draw red lines to their dialect, which has been passed down from their ancestors. And we warn one another to give our newborns simple names instead of uncommon multisyllabic names like Trelani. And when we do have names that require assistance in pronunciation, we offer nicknames before they even finish trying to enunciate. By all means, avoid being a stereotype.
Heard that.
This was particularly evident during Jim Crow. In almost all cities with significant black and white populations, there existed a place called Across the Tracks. Railroad tracks separated black neighborhoods from white ones, and all black folks, regardless how much money they made, lived on the same side of town. Poor white folks were often relegated to that side of town too. So the tracks were barriers of race and class.
Yeah.
Integration, however, allowed those with the financial means to move on up across the tracks to bigger homes and better funded schools and medical facilities. But in order to be accepted by our new neighbors, we had to subscribe to respectability politics by mirroring what was considered proper or standard. We couldn't afford to look or sound anything like those still living across the tracks, aka the hood or the ghetto. In the middle of my 6th grade year, I was placed in the gifted program, which we called the SMART team. And on the SMART team, most of the students lived in the suburbs. Those who weren't considered gifted, most of them lived in the hood. Well, when I was talking with my friends on the SMART team, I spoke proper like them. And when I was with my other friends, I reverted to talking fast, laughing loud, saying things like over there instead of over there. And
the talking fast part.
The code switch, we're taught that. Even when we're speaking on the phone with customer service, we're taught that.
It's just business.
It wasn't until Tabitha Brown said that she's not code switching anymore
I
had to fact check myself.
Yeah, shout out to her.
And so even before then, we'll do the intro proper, but everything else after that intro is straight us.
It's like, man, what y'all do, bro? Y'all be studying? Y'all be practicing or something? Nah, we just get on here and we let that be the introduction because we always believe that, first impression is everything, and we really want to give you guys real substance behind what we finna get into.
Right.
So you guys get that and y'all love our intro. You feel me? And after that, this is where we at with it. I can walk off the camera right now and come back.
Yeah, we multifaceted people around here.
This is what it is. You feel me?
Okay. We could speak with eloquence, and we could speak like we from the hood because we from the hood.
It's crazy though because that across the track is so real, man. Because you do have class, and it's crazy she mentioned that because people be trying to put everyone into the bracket of just that racism is just this.
Right.
When we all basically targets. Like if you really look at it, because once your class doesn't, be like subject to what the higher class want to be, like you're gonna be pushed down with everybody else. Everybody else. Then it won't be none of that other stuff y'all be trying to put on out there. You're with them now.
Right. But what's so crazy? Because I was doing study, and I did tell you about this. When I was looking at the history of New Orleans projects and where I'm from, and I was like, I never knew that they even segregated the projects.
How
you segregate the projects?
Yeah.
If every everybody is lower income and needing assistance, you're segregating the projects. Now you know, we was just a backward society.
It's been that way. I said that for the line. Everything is backwards. So like, if you really want to read between the lines, read in reverse.
Yeah.
Glossing my lips to greasy perfection, which was cool then. I was like Clark Kent, hopping in and out of the phone booth from grade school on through college, and I pretty much mastered it until my book signing party when I was 24 years old. It was my first time bringing my friends from both sides of the track together and figuring out what to wear, what foods to serve, what music to play, and who to be. Stressed me out way more than it should have.
Stress me out.
Where culture is most abundant, resources are most limited. The Sea Islands are an excellent example of this.
Hold up.
Prior to the...
Before she get to the Sea Islands, okay, I gotta tell you about the wedding. Okay, so we got married when I was in college.
Right.
My friend group definitely changed. So I had my friends from back home and my cousins and my family from back home. Had Dion's family sophisticated.
What about
They're both sophisticated in mine.
Wow. So, it's all love. Everybody knows
all love, but it's the truth. I had my friends, my black friends who came from wealthy families.
Yeah.
I had my white friends who it was a mixture of class with them.
Yeah.
And I had our church folk.
Church folk too. Yup. Nah, y'all can't hide it back. Y'all came up in there too.
Putting them all together.
Cause it was like the music. It was like
the music.
Yeah, listen.
So we went from the gospel to my grandmother saying, "Put on my music."
Yeah, like how she do back at home.
Beverly and Maze. Baby, when I tell you, we was stressed. We was stressed, and so
it was different. It was different.
And then getting them all together, and I remember having a conversation with one of my white friends, and she was like, "I like that song. Who that song by?" I'm like, "You do." And so, but by the end of the reception, everybody was mingling together. Like everybody, I was stressed out, but they weren't stressed out. They all took us as we are. I love that. Find you some people who like you.
Yeah, for you. Yeah. For you. Let's see what she did though. Let's see how she put it out there.
Construction of bridges, resorts, and subdivisions, Geechee folk in the Georgia and South Carolina Sea Islands lived and still do in kundas. That's a Geechee word for family compounds, with a language and lifestyle that closely resembles our cousins in West Africa. But on the other hand, a lot of them didn't get telephone lines or electricity into the 1970s. Later than that for some. Black folks living next to white folks tend to have the opposite experience. More money and access, but an absence of their own artistic, aesthetic, and emotional center. So we're all suffering.
Yep.
Belonging is a psychological need, no more or less than paying the bills. But abandoning your culture in the name of fitting in is harmful.
Very.
It is.
That separation generates hostility within oneself and among each other. We wear the mask, as Paul Laurence Dunbar so poetically expressed, for survival and for acceptance, but assimilating is exhausting.
Very. Be yourself.
It creates an inner division, a me versus me, and a disassociation from the community, calling for more focus, again, on me than we.
Yeah.
One of my favorite quotes is by writer Audre Lorde, and she states that the master's tools will never dismantle the master's house. They will never enable us to bring about genuine change. Disconnection is one of the master's primary tools. Disconnection from your culture and disconnection from yourself. And often, your own people are the ones employed to do the work of disconnecting.
Come on now.
So in order to bring about...
Y'all ever was in a position of where there was a older person of your same culture who made it so hard for you?
Man.
So hard. Made you want to, and then you realize that this person hate themselves. And they try to project that on you.
Energy transfer is real.
Yes.
Yeah, it is. It is.
About genuine change, we all have to consider the ways in which we're forbidden folk to show up as their colorfully cultural selves.
Yes, as they are.
And language is key.
Yeah.
Another favorite writer of mine, Ntozake Shange, said that I'm a firm believer that language and how we use language determines how we act. And how we act then determines our lives and other people's lives. I had an unforgettable experience with a literal neighbor across the street from me who I jokingly referred to as Trump because of the flag in his front yard.
Oh, Lord.
My boyfriend, who I already knew him, will correct me every time. His name is Kirk. Well, several times a day, Kirk will walk his dog, and if I was jogging a subdivision and we passed one another, we do the neighborly nod. And then I stopped seeing him. He'd been diagnosed with cancer. So the next time I so happened to catch him through the blinds, I threw on some clothes, flew out the door and down the sidewalk. You mind if I walk with you? I asked. Sure, he said. His sure wasn't punctuated with the exclamation mark that I was hoping for, but my neck was already out there. And we had a great conversation, which extended to an invitation for me to join him anytime I saw him out, and I did. We talked about my work as a writer, oral historian, and teaching artist, about our children, our hometowns, the evolution of the neighborhood, and how good a simple cheeseburger can be.
Gotta talk about some food.
Needless to say, I began to see him beyond his flag and began calling him our friend Kurt, who I couldn't have any less in common with. Him, a white retired baby boomer from the north, me, a working black millennial from the south.
Get to know your neighbors.
We have to understand and trust our connection with one another. We also got to be willing to cross the tracks for fellowship without rejection or judgment or hiding behind a clothing rack, without pretenses or penance, because it won't work if anybody is wearing a mask or hopping in and out of the phone booth. Proximity and authentic self-expression empowers us with a global pool of resources to get freer, faster.
Yes.
But it's difficult to peep our connection through our cries for justice because they vary depending what side of the tracks you're on. But when you're looking to connect with those that you consider different from yourself, it's our memories and our expressions of joy. That's where we hit the jackpot. I see it all the time on social media. If I post my grandmother's homemade medicines, recipes for red rice, ring shouting in church, second lining in New Orleans, I get comments from people all around the world saying that their grandmamas did the same, that their recipes for jambalaya, jollof, or arroz rojo is nearly identical, and that they worship and dance the same way.
Yeah.
And all I can do is smile and say, cousin.
Yo. She killed that stage.
She did that.
Bro, like, if you didn't get any gems from this video, like, fill up, play it back. Listen again. People. Oh man, she ate.
I want to speak on when she said it's hard for people to hear you when you're crying for justice. That is true, because they may not understand you. They may not understand where you're coming from and why you feel so passionate about it.
That's true.
But when you connect with them on the level and get to understand who they are, understand the other side for just being people, understanding each other, that's when people start to understand your walk and the history of what's going on and where you are today. Oftentimes, when we come across videos like this, it gives me chills because this video speaks to the essence of what our channel has become.
Talk about
connecting with different cultures around the world, no matter how we look, where we live, what we believe in. You can still be unified with people.
Big
and
facts.
Appreciate the differences and the similarities.
Yes,
of culture. Culture is beautiful.
It is.
No
all
matter.
walks.
Sometimes it's weird. Sometimes we may be like, baby, I don't know what y'all doing up there.
But it's happening. It's y'all lifestyle, and people just gotta learn to respect it because, hey, just because it's not what others may do, don't think that what you're doing is wrong. Right. You know what I'm saying? And she had painted a beautiful picture though, man. Like she knew a man, her neighbor. Regardless of his flag and everything. Yeah. And her name, calling or whatnot, because she called him Trump, but she still spoke to him. And then she got to know him. And then she built a bridge. Right. She closed the gap. And it's like, it's simple, man. It's like memories, because, you can talk about food. I made a mention of it. You can talk about food with anybody, and they're going to have something to say positive, right? Memories and joyful acts, bro. Like, those two things together, combination is, like she said, is treasure, is gold.
Yeah, and you don't have to agree with what somebody stands for. You don't.
Mm-hmm.
Or you don't even have to agree with what they're crying for.
Yeah.
Beauty and culture, the diversity in culture is beautiful. And just like the letter from an African to the African American,
Oh, yeah.
that's how I feel about this right here. We all cousins. What we call y'all? We say family.
We say family.
Our people up there in Canada, we be talking to them the same way we talk to our people in Ghana. Family. We all family.
Yes.
Okay.
Real talk.
So this was a good one. Is there anything else you want to say, babe?
Yeah, like when you understand a person's culture, like when you really understand their culture, you can have a better understanding of the reason for their tears.
Yeah.
You can understand the reason for their anger. You can understand the reason for their religion. You know what I'm saying? So I think when you see somebody going through something and you don't have no understanding on why this person feel this way towards this type of incident, dive deep into their culture and see what they've been doing their whole lifetime.
Yes.
And then you have a better understanding to why this person may be angry, upset, or extremely happy the way they are. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's all I want to add.
Yeah. Don't let race divide you. Don't let class divide you.
Yeah.
Don't let
facts.
country divide you. Don't let culture divide you.
What she said, hide behind them clothes racks.
Yeah, the
No,
clothes
she
racks.
said, don't let your outfit divide you now.
Yes. Show up as yourself.
Big
okay?
facts. Big facts.
Show up as yourself. We hope you guys enjoyed this video with us. Like this video, subscribe, turn on the post notification bell. We have enabled our super thanks if you like to support the channel that way, as well as our reaction request form is in our description box below. We'll see you soon.
Peace.